Earlier you were giving this practical advice to jump off a cliff, maybe literally also. But are you with that saying that you should seek out fear as a practice somehow?
Well, fear is, of course, a strategy that has helped humans in surviving, right? So fear can be stupid, it can also be intelligent. It's smart to fear certain things if you want to survive. But what can help you, what we call horizontally, which is the journey as a human and for this life form and what's in your DNA, will not necessarily assist you in the spiritual awakening. Right? And this is the interesting discussion we have when we start the process of awakening, is that often what will work for you as a human is the opposite of what will work for you in a spiritual awakening. And to me that's really interesting because it means that you have to choose spiritual awakening. It doesn't just happen. What just happens is repetition, patterns, blockages, all of that which keeps us kind of imprisoned.
Can I just ask a quick question? So now you said that this is a process you have to choose.
Yes.
But then you've also said that this kind of is an inevitable process that happens on its own. So
it's inevitable that you will choose it.
Yeah, okay, that's what I wanted to ask.
Because it's at some point when you've done your kind of horizontal evolution, which means like going through life forms and mainly being in the consciousness belonging to that life form, right? At some point you will have matured enough that you start noticing that there is something else going on here. Remember that the mind will map out the world as you see it and stitch it together. This is what the religious brain is all about, is basically filling the glitches with assumptions, right? And then the map for each lifetime, it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. At some point you will start seeing connections like within that map. And that is when you start waking up spiritually. So you need that evolution. And then when that begins to happen, you start seeing there is something else going on here. That triggers a spiritual awakening, and you will begin to choose that because you're too curious. And you will start relating to life in a different way because you can start seeing that, oh, life is actually communicating. It's not just like, me interacting with a thing. It can be there and it can be there. It's mirrored. It's like one being is communicating with it. You will start seeing it. And you will choose that. And then you will also get to the point where you say, well, I don't care how much I have to go through. Because that's also part of the spiritual process, is that we have to go through a lot. But we choose that, although we could have chosen comfort. Because we know we have to challenge ourselves. We know we have to break down the wall of the mind, and it's painful. And it's extremely challenging, but we keep going because we've reached a point where we can't go back. And we know that there is something there, because spiritually it's who we are. We start kind of to hear kind of the calling from God in a way, right? And we hear it. And from that kind of moment on, it's the process where we recognize that, oh, right, I'm not home. And kind of you want to go home. And also in that process, you start establishing the practice with first you transcend, which is going home. Then notice that, oh, I am already home. And then you start to bring it back down into incarnation and you're able to practice it. And then you transcend once again. And then, oh, I want to go home. And then you get to that level and say, oh, right, home is down there. So you integrate again. So you start this kind of wonderful cycle of seeing through everything, lifting yourself, getting to a state of purity, and then you have to bring that back into manifest existence and master it. And then your journey becomes more of that cycle than the horizontal movement. And you can't stop because that calling and that yearning takes over, because it's who you are starts to awaken. And like every individual who've reached higher consciousness, they will know what this is because everyone goes through the same thing. It takes over and one is willing to do absolutely anything.
We were talking about this a little bit last week, where sometimes it's harder to tell if what's like the right choice is also the most comfortable choice, because at the end you don't really know what you're actually following. But when you notice that you're choosing something that's not the most comfortable, you're choosing something just because it feels more right to do, then you know that you're following more this path of karma yoga, where you're acting against whatever is most comfortable.
Yes. But it's like understanding that if you think of reality as a landscape and what's available to you, and you have to cover every square inch, it doesn't matter how you move. You'll have to stop and stand in every square inch. So that's also what you learn over time, that, you can do this or that or that. You have to do all of it. Every variation, every variable will have to be experienced, because that's how you understand it. That's how you get it. So again, the linear movement becomes less important. It's just like whatever you're drawn to, whatever you want to explore, because you have to experience all of it. And you do. So you kind of run around from place to place. You try to take it all in, and you don't take it too seriously. Am I making the right choice now? Because, if I go there or there or there, I have to go to all of these places at some point. So I'll just go wherever I want to, right? So you become more relaxed, but at the same time more realistic. That it's not a kind of linear journey. It's a spatial journey. So then, it's not about right and wrong, because you can never make a wrong choice, and you can never make a right one.
So would you say it's irrelevant?
Yes. Once you reach that level, it's not irrelevant if you're studying linear movement.
Okay, I think I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So as long as you're in this mode where you're, I guess, studying what you can learn from a specific path, then moving along that path makes sense. But once you're finished with that, then other things.
Yes, and you could also have chosen something else, but you didn't. And that's also fine, right? It's, the part of religious thinking, and what's been so terrible about most religions, is they're based on fear and judgment and power. And that, if you look at the Christian religion, which to me is absolutely horrible, it is, unless you do exactly this, then terrible things will happen. You will be judged forever. And that has also become part of spirituality, right? No, we have to do it this way. You have to find the right practice, or else you need to do this. And the choices are so important. As your choices don't matter. Just do whatever. You will figure it out, right? Just like any child put in, like any situation or any country, any culture, they will learn how do they do it, how and you'll figure it out. It's like that. It's spatial. This is what I mean. Also, when you look at a child's development, it's not linear. It's spatial, right? They take in everything and they first mimic and they emulate and they experiment and they figure it out. That's how we do it in any level of consciousness. So, and religion has installed so much fear and control and power, and in spirituality, we need to denounce that approach and that model, that way of thinking completely. There is never any punishment, ever. Because if we think of existence as physics, you do something and you get a result. And you can evaluate that result. Did I achieve what I wanted? Because the laws of physics, the laws of nature are there. It's about learning how to also interact intelligently. I often talk about this as farming, right? If you want to learn how to farm and grow vegetables, it's smart of you to learn about the seasons, about soil, about climate, right? So you can grow and get results. But if you don't know anything, you may try to grow vegetables in the winter because that's what you want to do. And you figure out very quickly that, what you want to do, nice, but you also need to adapt to nature, right? And you figure it out. So we all do. So it's like If you want to try to grow vegetables in winter, by all means, go ahead. And nature will show you, and you will figure it out. And you will also figure out how can you get the best crops.
So it seems like one of the main concepts here is that, I think like you said earlier, that time doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter how long this takes.
Yes.
You like that, don't you?
Sort of. I don't know. I'm not sure actually.